tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 million, billion dollars, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare, thank you.
You woke? Time to get up. Welcome to Thought You're Woke, No Speed Limit Podcast. I am your host, Alvin. I just want to do as I always do. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And smash that notification button so every time that a podcast is available, you will be the first to see it. Now, folks, y'all all saw the debate. I even went live about that debate. And I won't go much into detail about that part, but I will say this. There's a lot of talk about whether Biden should drop out or not, what he should do. Here's the reason why. Now, most folks, like myself, know what's at stake. We know that there's this whole 2025 project out there, and that if Trump gets in office, somebody like him would definitely impose that particular ruling upon our folks. So we don't want that. So I would definitely be one of those people who would probably and most definitely decide to vote for Biden regardless. There's no other way. I mean, no third party candidate is going to make it. I'm sorry. But we can't let either one of these, we can't let Trump in office. I'd rather have Biden in office, and I know Harris is sitting there in the background to take over. I'm good. Some people ain't good with Harris. I'm good with it. I'm better that I would be rather have her do it than Trump and whatever minion he decides to put in with him to get in the government, take over the government, fire all the federal workers, and then hire all these replacement people to do their bidding. I don't have time for that. I don't have any time for that at all. So I'd rather not. But I do want to talk about some elements of the debate. One particular element of the debate. I want you guys to watch this exchange between Donald Trump and Biden. It kind of speaks to everything that was going on in the debate. Biden did kind of wake up because he was pissed off. When he's pissed off, his brain just seemed to activate. But watch this clip and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Say to black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any black family, first-time home buyer, should get a $10,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home so they can get started. I made sure that we're in a situation where all those black families and those black individuals who had to take out student loans that were ballooning, that if they were engaged in nursing, doctor, and anything having to do with volunteerism, if they paid their bills for 10 years on their student debt, all the rest is forgiven after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that. And we're going to do a whole lot more for black families.
Thank you, President Trump.
And he caused the inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right, it's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you, President Biden.
Okay. I have to stop the clip here for a second. This whole thing about black jobs, about I can't afford eggs and I can't eat or pay my rent, or I don't pay rent, but pay mortgage. So he's saying that I don't have the money. Sure, prices are elevated. I got money. I'm not dying or starving. I'm not on the street. I don't see a food lines growing at the grocery store. I know some families are suffering because of the money. That's beside the point. But then there's this thing he said, black jobs. And I had to think about this. I've heard that somewhere before. Actually, watch this clip. It'll give you an explanation of what he meant by black jobs.
Remember, illegal immigration and the trade deals are two sides of the same coin. It's to suppress the wages of workers, right? The terrible trade deals are to have unfair competition among our workers, right? That's what it is. The whole thing is because it's made cheaper over there. You don't need to tell the people in Ohio. They know where the jobs went. The jobs went to Asia. This wasn't the second law of thermodynamics. There's no law of physics that said that had to happen. That is human agency made that decision. It was going to happen, and it went. The campaign was basically run on three simple principles. Number one, we're going to stop mass illegal immigration and limit legal immigration. Here's the reason. You can't save the black and Hispanic and white working class while you have unlimited illegal immigration. I'm a capitalist. I believe in supply. I went to Harvard Business School, worked at Goldman Sachs. I'm a real capitalist. I believe.
Oh, so that's the explanation of what black jobs are. Okay. I guess I can kind of take that. But that's still not going to make me vote for Trump. Let me explain something. Over the past couple of days, and that's, while everybody's paying attention to what's going on with Biden, the Supreme Court has been making a couple of rulings. Three of those rulings really bother me. One pretty much limited what the government can do against corporations that decide to pollute, decide to do any other thing that might hurt other people. Secondly, they made a ruling that really bothers me about the Trump case that just came out today. They decided that there is such a thing as official immunity in the case, and that they have to determine whether any of that stuff is official. So it has defectively delayed much of what Trump is on trial for. Third and final, this is the one that's important. The Supreme Court ruling on Friday effectively made being homeless a problem in the United States. Yep. It's going to be making homelessness a problem in the United States. In other words, if you don't live in a particular address in the area or zip code that you live in, you aren't legally allowed to stay there. So homeless people, and this may affect renters and people who are just hanging out, let's say just hanging out, because this kind of brings back vagrancy laws to me. So in other words, you can no longer be where you are. In other words, if you don't live there or that's not your area. Again, we're bringing back vagrancy laws. So people who are homeless will probably end up being locked up in jail. Another creation of a slave working class because of how the 13th Amendment is written. And I have a problem with that. So we need the right people in office. And Trump ain't the right people, because the three of the judges that voted for this were three Trump appointees. So that's a big no. That's a huge no. Regardless of what we got, stumbling, bumbling president, I think President Harris makes a great vice president and she can handle this. I'm still voting for Biden. Or hopefully there might be somebody else. I can't say this out loud, but it might be a good idea if somebody else ran in his place. It's kind of late, but it might be a good idea if somebody did, like Harris, and then get one of these other folks as her vice president. I think it would be a good idea. So if that happens, that's fine. But if it doesn't, I'm still going to end up voting for Biden because I cannot vote for Trump. I see too much coming down the road, and I already see a problem with this. I told you about Project 2025, and I see what the Supreme Court's doing. They ruled against the Fearless Fund a couple of weeks ago, or at least the appeals court that was also a Trump appointee or ruled against the Fearless Fund. For Black women. We just saw Steve Bannon talking before Black people, and he said, "Well, Black nationalism doesn't care about race or anything like that. It doesn't care." Yeah, it does. It does. It will stymie anything. Our chances of growing in this country too. So I cannot vote for Donald Trump. Okay, I've said what I had to say. You guys have a wonderful day, and
you have been listening to Thought You're Awoke No Speed Limit Podcast.